Hi and welcome back. So the American Heart Association has added sleep to its Life Essentials, now making it Life Essentials 8, which is great. Some of the changes they've made to Life Essentials 7, I think don't go far enough. Some of them that weren't updated, I think should have been updated. And the detail that they've actually posted with regard to sleep, I think is sorely lacking. And there needs to be more detail so people can live a healthier life. Also, one on blood lipids, in my humble opinion, is more of a logistical reason as opposed to medical. And I think the easy way for logistics is not the way that we should treat people with regard to medical problems. Enough waffling off me, let's jump into the presentation and let's see what this new sleep adaptation to the Life Essentials is from the American Heart Association. So, according to a new presidential advisory, sleep duration is now considered an essential component for ideal heart and brain health. This statement adds Life Essential 8, Cardiovascular Health, to the American Heart Association's construct on cardiovascular health, and this was published in their journal Circulation, and there are links in the description below to the study and the articles I used to put this presentation together. Other updates to measure optimal cardiovascular health for anyone aged 2 and older were a new guide to assess diet, accounting for exposure to secondhand smoke and vaping, using non-LDL cholesterol instead of total cholesterol to measure blood lipids, and expanding the blood sugar measure to include hemoglobin A1C, a key measure to assess type 2 diabetes risk. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer in the US and globally. According to the association's 2022 Heart Disease and Stroke Statistics Update, approximately 121.5 million people in the US have high blood pressure. 100 million people are classed as obese, and more than 28 million people have type 2 diabetes, and only 1 in 4 adults reported achieving the physical activity required from the Physical Activity Guidelines for Americans, 2nd edition. Various research studies over the past 2 decades say that more than 80% of cardiovascular events may have been prevented by a healthy lifestyle and managing known cardio risk factors. Dr. Donald Lloyd-Jones, MD, the president of the American Heart Association, said the new metric of sleep duration reflects the latest research findings. Sleep impacts overall health, and people who have healthier sleep patterns manage health factors such as weight, blood pressure, or risk of type 2 diabetes more effectively. In addition, advances in the ways to measure sleep, such as wearable devices, now offer people the ability to reliably and routinely monitor their sleep habits at home. After 12 years and more than 2,400 scientific papers on the topic, new discoveries in heart and brain health and in the way to measure cardiovascular health provided an opportunity to revisit each health component in more detail. 4 of the original metrics have been redefined for consistency with newer clinical guidelines or compatibility with new measurement tools. The Life's Essential 8 components of optimal cardiovascular health are divided into 2 major areas: health behaviors and health factors. Health behaviors include diet, physical exercise, nicotine exposure, and now sleep. Health factors are body mass index, cholesterol levels, blood sugar, and blood pressure. The Heart Association's president said, "The idea of optimal cardiovascular health is important because it gives people positive goals to work toward at any stage of life. Life Simple 7 has served as a proven, powerful tool for understanding how to achieve healthy aging and ways to improve cardiovascular health while decreasing the risks of developing heart disease and stroke, as well as cancer, dementia, and many other chronic diseases. Given the evolving research, it was important to address some limitations to the original metrics, particularly in the way they've been applied to people from diverse racial and ethnic populations." Dr. Lloyd-Jones went on to say, some of the previous metrics, such as diet, were not as sensitive to differences among people or as responsive to change over time within a single individual. We felt it was the right time to conduct a comprehensive review
of the latest research to refine the existing metrics and consider any new metrics that add value to assessing cardiovascular health for all people. Life Essentials 8 now includes diet, this has been updated, a new guide to assess dietary quality for adults and children at the individual and at the population level. At the population level, dietary assessment is based on the daily intake of elements in the dietary approaches to stop hypertension. That's the DASH eating pattern. The DASH style diet score has 8 components: high intake of fruits, vegetables, nuts, legumes, whole grains, low fat and dairy, and low intake of sodium, red and processed meats, and sweetened drinks. For individuals, the Mediterranean eating pattern for Americans, MEPA, is used to assess and monitor cardiovascular health. The MEPA is a DASH style eating pattern that can be used or measured through 16 yes and no questions, and they're about frequency for eating olive oil, vegetables, berries, meat, fish, dairy and grains, etc. Moving on, and the next essential is physical activity. No changes here, but I think with the studies that are now coming out, I think including daily step count as a new recommendation may have been a good idea. Let me know what you think in the comments below. The next one, which has been updated, is nicotine exposure. Use of inhaled nicotine delivery systems, which includes e-cigarette or vaping devices, is added, since the previous metric only monitored traditional combustible cigarettes. This reflects the new use by adults and youth and their implications on long-term health. Life Essential 8 also includes second-hand smoke exposure for both children and adults. The next metric is body mass index, or BMI, and again, unfortunately, no change here. I think this is a big mistake. Body composition, muscle mass, etc. has changed significantly since the BMI formula's inception by an astronomer in the 1830s. That's over 185 years ago. I believe the measurement of waist size needing to be half of your height is a much better metric nowadays. The next life essential is lipids, and these have been updated. The metric for blood lipids, that's cholesterol and triglycerides, is updated to use non-HDL cholesterol as a preferred number to monitor rather than total cholesterol. They say that HDL is the good cholesterol, intimating that LDL is bad. Again, in my humble opinion, this is very, very old thinking indeed. They explain this shift has been made because non-HDL cholesterol can be measured without the need for fasting, thereby increasing its availability at any time during the day and implementation at more appointments. So this is a logistical reason, not a medical one. And in my humble opinion, a terrible reason, just because it's easier. Would you want your doctor doing something to you because it's easier for him? Let me know in the comments below. The next life essential is blood glucose, and this has been updated also. The metric is now expanded to include the option of hemoglobin A1C readings or blood glucose levels for people with or without type 1 or type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. They say hemoglobin A1C can better reflect long-term glycemic control. I am now at a loss for words. A1C can better reflect long-term glycemic control is not new information. I would have assumed this was already there. Obviously not. It wasn't there. Why wasn't it included years ago? And why is it now only been included in 2022? I think they're a long way behind the curve on this one. So sticking with blood, there are no changes to the blood pressure standards. The new one then is sleep duration, and they say sleep duration is associated with cardiovascular health, measured by average hours of sleep per night. The ideal level is 7 to 9 hours for adults, and that's all they say. In my humble opinion, this statement lacks any real detail. What about deep sleep, REM sleep, time to go to sleep, for example, between 9 and 11, not before 9, not after midnight? This is an essential update, and all they say is 7 to 9 hours. There's more effort required by the American Heart Association. As we used to say in the army when people fell short of the mark, that is an unacceptable standard. You need to show it again.
Well, I hope you found that interesting or informative, hopefully both. And if, like me, you think that the new Life Essentials updates, either if they're updated, don't go far enough, or if they weren't updated, should have been. I'm looking forward to your comments in the comments section below. A couple of key things I want to mention here. First of all, no change to BMI. And the real is saying that there's nothing better being invented or nothing we can use after 189 years. I don't think so. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Using now non-HDL cholesterol to measure someone's cholesterol levels. Why do they say non-HDL? There's only LDL and HDL. Why don't they just say, we're now going to only measure LDL? Seems like a bit of doublespeak to me. And the reason is because you can do it any time during the day and it reduces the burden on doctors and appointment times. Again, that's logistics. We're talking about medical practices here and doing what's right for the patient and not cutting out one test because it's easier for you to do. Also, adding hemoglobin A1C in 2022 is astounding. I've been having regular blood tests since I've started my NMN experiment for 3 years now. They've always been part of the test, and when I've spoken to a doctor, they've always made mention of it. Why it's only just been added, it's a little bit befuddling. And again, adding sleep in 2022 seems to be a little bit behind the curve, although it's good that they've added it. But then just saying 7 to 9 hours, everybody knows more than 7 hours, up to 9 is what is the ideal. When I joined the army in 1981, my section commander forced us to go to sleep, switch the lights out, and would come in half an hour after lights out, just to make sure we were all sleeping and we weren't still talking, because he said sleep is so important at your stage of life with all the exercise that you're going to be doing. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I look forward to seeing your comments in the comment section below. As always, please take care. I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.